People thought it was just a wedding picture until they saw what was behind the bride. The photo grabbed Dr. Emily Chen's interest right away. Among hundreds of items at the San Francisco estate sale, this one stood out. It was a formal wedding picture from 1884, placed in a fancy silver frame with delicate patterns along the sides. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. A curator who studies old photos from the 1800s at the California Historical Society went to the sale hoping to find pieces for the museum's show on Victorian funeral customs. She expected the usual family pictures, landscapes, or early daguerreotypes. But this wedding photo felt different. The image showed a bride and groom in a photographer's studio. The bride sat in a fancy chair, wearing a beautiful white silk dress with detailed lace. Her veil fell over her shoulders, and she held a bunch of lilies. The groom stood beside her, one hand on the chair, dressed in a formal black suit. At first look, it seemed like a typical old wedding picture. Stiff, formal, the people frozen by the long camera exposure of that time. But something felt off. Emily looked closer through the glass case. The bride's posture was too stiff, even for old photos. Her eyes had something strange. They looked unfocused, staring past the camera, and the groom's face was not happy or proud. It showed grief, hidden behind a calm mask. Lot 247, the auctioneer called. Old wedding picture from around 1884. Photographer unknown. Silver frame from the Whitmore estate. Starting bid at $200. Emily raised her paddle at once. 3 others bid too, but she kept going and won it for $850. More than she usually spent. Her gut told her this picture mattered. An hour later, Emily sat in her car outside the sale, the photo wrapped safely on the seat beside her. She could not say why she wanted it so much. She had seen thousands of old photos in her 15-year job. Wedding pictures were common, but this one hid something. As Emily drove back to the museum through the foggy streets, she had no idea this photo would reveal a sad story that would change what she knew about Victorian funeral customs, family duty, and how far people would go to keep up appearances. The truth was frozen in that picture, waiting 140 years to come out. Emily reached the museum early the next morning, too eager to wait. She took it straight to the lab for high-detail scans and special lights that show hidden things. She gently took the photo out of its frame. The back was thick cardboard with the photographer's mark, Morrison and Associates, Memorial Photography, San Francisco, California, Memorial Photography. Emily's heart beat fast. That term often meant post-mortem photos in Victorian times. She put the picture under the scanner. As it worked, she wrote notes on what she saw. The background, the furniture, the clothes, the flowers. 20 minutes later, the clear image showed on her screen. Emily zoomed in bit by bit, and each close look made her more sure. First, the bride's hands. They rested in her lap, holding the lilies, but the fingers looked stiff and waxy. The skin color was a bit different from her face, paler with a slight change that old photographers often hid with powder and light. Emily moved to the bride's face. Her eyes, now bigger, had no bright spot from light like living eyes do. Her pupils were still and wide. Her lips, painted with rouge, showed a blue tint under the makeup. Then she saw the chair. Behind the bride, partly hidden by the curtain, was a metal support stand. These were normal in old photos to keep people still. But this one was special. It was not just helping her back. It seemed to hold her up completely. Emily's hands shook as she zoomed near the bride's head. There, in the shadows, was a thin wire or support up the chair to hold the head steady. She checked the groom next. His face, now clear, showed deep grief mixed with guilt and sadness. His hand on the chair was not casual. His knuckles were white from gripping hard. Emily leaned back, breathing fast. This was not a wedding photo. It was a post-mortem picture, made to look like a wedding that never happened. But why? What would push a family to do this? Emily spent the next few days looking up Morrison and Associates. The name showed in old San Francisco lists from 1878 to 1891 under Memorial Photo Services. This studio only did post-mortem work, a normal thing then when families wanted to keep the image of the dead. But Morrison and Associates had one extra note. Old newspaper ads said they offered special portraits for all events, with care and privacy. The words "all events" stood out. Most post-mortem studios listed only funeral or child photos. Morrison's vague words hinted at unusual jobs. Emily called the San Francisco Genealogical Society for info on the Whitmore family from the estate. A researcher named David called back soon. The Whitmores were well known in San Francisco from the 1870s to early 1900s. They made money in shipping and land. He found notes in society pages and charity events. "Any wedding in 1884?" Emily asked. "Yes," David said. A wedding notice ran in the paper for June 1884. Victoria Whitmore, daughter of Richard and Eleanor Whitmore, was to marry James Ashford from the banking family. It was meant to be the big event of the year, two rich families joining. Supposed to be, Emily repeated. That's the odd part. The notice came out, but no stories about the actual wedding. No guest lists. No party reports. That was strange for such a big family. Those events always got lots of coverage. Emily's heart raced. What happened to Victoria Whitmore? David said it gets strange. Her death record is dated June 15th, 1884, the same day as the planned wedding, cause typhoid fever. She was 22. And James Ashford, he never married, lived until 1923, and spent his life on charity, especially hospitals and illness prevention. A wing at the city hospital is named after him. After the call, Emily pulled out the photo again and studied it with fresh eyes. Victoria Whitmore died on her wedding day, and her family paid for this picture to pretend the wedding happened. But why go so far? And what part did James Ashford play? Emily stood outside the old Whitmore house on Nob Hill, now turned into nice apartments. The old building survived the 1906 quake. Though changed a bit, it still looked grand with tall windows, pretty trim, and a big front stair. She met the building manager, Robert Chen, who showed her old papers kept in the basement. "The residents keep everything," Robert said as they went down the stairs. "It's part of the historic rules. We have files back to 1875. The basement was cool and neat, with cabinets labeled by decade. Robert opened the one for 18880, 18889. "What do you need?" he asked. "Anything from June 1884, Emily said, "especially about Victoria Whitmore." Robert's face softened. "Oh, the sad story. I've read these. It's part of my job. And the history pulls you in. Victoria's tale is really sad." He gave her a folder with old news clips, letters, and house records. The first was a letter from May 1884 by Eleanor Whitmore to her sister in Boston. Emily read it slowly. "Dearest Margaret, wedding plans go on, but my heart feels heavy with worry. Victoria has been sick for 2 weeks. Fever, weakness, no appetite. The doctor says it's just bride nerves. Many young women feel this. James visits every day with flowers and reads to her. He is so caring. She could not find a better match. The wedding must happen. Too much is set. Richard says she will get better. I hope he is right." Emily felt cold. The mother knew trouble was coming, but family pressure won over her worry. The next letter was June 10th, 1884. "Margaret, Victoria grows worse. The doctor now thinks typhoid. He wants to delay the wedding and send her to a care home. But Richard says no. The shame of delay would hurt us all. Business deals would break. He believes she is strong enough for the ceremony. Then she can rest." Emily's hands shook. Robert gave her another folder from a 1998 house fix, found hidden in a wall in Victoria's old room. These were letters from James Ashford to Victoria while she was sick. The first, May 20th, 1884. "My dearest Victoria, I brought white roses today, your favorites. You smiled, but I saw it took effort. Your mother says you slept badly again. I wish I could take your illness. The wedding plans move ahead, but know they mean nothing if you are not well. I would wait forever. Your health is what matters. Tell me truly how you feel. I am your future husband, but first your friend. You can trust me. All my love, James. The letters grew more worried as days passed. James wrote almost daily, torn between love and horror at what her family wanted. June 12, 1884. Victoria, I talked to your father today. I begged to delay for your sake. He got angry and said I wanted to break the engagement. That is not true. I want to marry you, but not this way when you can hardly sit up. I offered a small bedside ceremony. He called it beneath us. I feel lost. Tell me what you want. I will do it. Then a letter from June 14th, the day before the wedding and her death. My love, I saw you today, and you were unconscious. Your mother cried by your bed. The doctor took me aside. He said you are dying, maybe hours left. Your organs are failing. I begged your father again to stop tomorrow. He refused. He said plans are set. Guests wait. Canceling would ruin us. He said we will go on. If you are go on by morning, he will handle it quietly. I do not want to know what he means. Victoria, if you hear me, know I love you. I would have been proud to be your husband. You deserved better. James. Emily wiped her eyes. Robert passed her tissues. The last letter was June 16th, after her death. I do not know why I write. You are gone. Yesterday, your mother came and said you passed in the night. She said the wedding would still happen, but different. I did not understand until I reached the photo studio. Morrison had set it all up. They dressed you in the gown. They put you in a chair. They asked me to stand by you for a wedding picture. I said no, it was wrong. Your father threatened to ruin my family's bank if I refused. He said we needed this picked to prove the wedding and save face. So I stood there beside the woman I loved, who died the night before, and let them take the photo as if we were married. I have never felt such shame. I am weak. You deserved a man who would say no and protect you even in death. Instead, you got me. I will never forgive myself. I will never marry. How could I? The only woman I loved is gone, and I betrayed her for looks. This will follow me forever. I am so sorry, Victoria. Emily needed more on Morrison and Associates. She went to the city library's old business records. A librarian named Susan helped search boxes from closed photo studios. After 2 days, they found Thomas Morrison's own journal from 1880 to 1890. The June 15th, 1884 entry was long. Urgent job from Richard Whitmore today. Very unusual. His daughter Victoria died last night from typhoid. She was to marry James Ashford today. Whitmore wants a wedding picture anyway. He will pay 3 times my rate for total privacy and perfect work. I have done memorial photos for 20 years, mostly kids, to help families remember. This is not about memory. This is about keeping up looks. I explained the hard parts. Post-mortem photos usually show the person resting. Making one where she looks alive and part of an event is tough. Eyes lose shine fast. I need special light and maybe fix the picture later. Whitmore agreed. They dressed her at home in the gown and brought her before dawn. My helper and I worked fast. We used a strong stand to hold her up, hid the head wire behind the veil. We shaped her hands for the flowers, even though stiffness made it hard. Makeup hid the pale skin and added color to lips and cheeks. Her mother gave jewelry to pull eyes away from the lifeless look. James came at 9 a.m. He looked broken. He said no at first, but threats worked. I felt sorry for him. He loved her and was forced into this. The photo took 2 hours. I took 6 shots. During it, James stood like stone. He would not look at her. His hands shook. Twice he stepped away. Whitmore showed only impatience. This is the worst job I ever took. I am paid well, but crossed a line. Miss Whitmore deserved peace, not to be posed like a doll for her father's pride. I will send the print tomorrow and try to forget. Some things weigh too much. Emily closed the book, feeling ill. The photo was proof a young woman had no control, even after death. Emily next checked how society saw Victoria's death and the fake wedding. She spent a week in old newspaper files. The cover-up was clear. The May wedding notice told of 300 guests, a big church ceremony, hotel party, Europe trip. It was called the season's grand event. But after June 15th, stories changed. The paper on June 17th said the wedding was private because the bride's mother got sick suddenly. Honeymoon delayed. Another paper said the same with small changes. None mentioned Victoria's death. Her obituary came 3 days later. Mrs. Victoria Ashford, born Whitmore, age 22, died June 18th after short illness. Survived by husband James and parents. Private funeral. No flowers. Emily read it again and again, anger rising. They called her Mrs. Ashford, a married woman. Though she died single, they changed the death date 3 days later to pretend she lived long enough to marry. Letters from readers asked about the wedding. Papers gave vague answers about family changes. Both families gave big gifts to the papers soon after to keep the lie going. But one voice spoke out. A small paper printed an anonymous letter from a former maid on July 2nd. I worked for the Whitmores. Miss Victoria did not marry. She died June 15th from fever on her wedding day. The family made up a story to save face. She was kind and deserved better than this show. I write secret because I fear trouble. But truth matters. She died single and suffering, and her family cared more for name than her peace. The letter ran but caused no fuss. One voice could not beat two strong families. Emily found living relatives through records. She called Michael Ashford in Portland, great-great-grandson of James's brother. He knew the truth. My family kept the story as a warning about putting name over people. He met her and brought family letters. One from 1900 said, "Brother, you ask why I never married and give all to charity. It is to make up for 1884. I should have said no and protected Victoria's honor, even if it hurt our names. Instead, I stood by while they posed her. The lie still lives. People give me sympathy for my lost wife. I say nothing. The shame is too deep. So I live the lie and try to do good to balance it. But some wrongs never fix." Michael also brought a copy of the photo. James kept it in a drawer and would stare at it and cry. He died in 1923 with it on his desk. Emily then reached out to Whitmore descendants. Sarah Morrison, Eleanor's great-great-granddaughter in Sacramento, was short at first. "Why bring this up now? It was long ago. Everyone is dead." Emily explained it was about truth and Victoria's memory. Sarah said her ancestors suffered and did good later with hospital gifts. Why focus on one bad choice in hard times? She hung up. Emily wrote a full article for a history photo journal with all she found. The photo proof, Morrison's notes, James's letters, the newspaper lies, and how women had no say then. It was called Death and Deception, a San Francisco family's fake wedding photo. News picked it up fast. The same paper that helped the lie ran a big story on the old scandal. Emily went on TV shows and explained old post-mortem photos were normal for memory, especially kids, but this one was different. It was not about remembering. It was about hiding truth for looks and taking away a young woman's dignity, even in death. The photo drew attention when shown with highlights on a support stand, empty eyes, and James's sad face. People felt shocked and interested. Experts talked about it. Some said digging up old pain hurts, living family. Others said truth matters, especially to show pressures on women then. One writer said the case shows how far families went to keep status, even denying death. Victoria had no choice in life and none in death. Her story stands for many others. The museum got calls with other hidden family tales. One woman told of an aunt who died in 1890, but rumors said something else, covered up. Another found a photo where a child looked wrong because he died days before and was posed with living siblings. Victoria's story opened doors for other quiet truths. 6 months later, the museum opened a new show called Hidden Truths: Victorian Women and the Cost of Looks. The main piece was Victoria's photo with full honest story. The sign read, Victoria Whitmore, 1862-1884. This is not a wedding picture, but a post-mortem photo made to pretend a marriage happened. She died of typhoid on June 15, 1884, her planned wedding day to James Ashford. Her father paid the photographer to pose her in the gown with a stand to keep up appearances. This shows how little control many women had then, even after death. Below were James's letters, Morrison's notes, and news clips of the lie and truth. Another part told about Victoria. Smart, kind, loved painting and poems. She wanted college, but her father said no. She and James grew to care for each other. She got sick in May, but could not delay. She died at 22 after a week too ill to fight the plans. The show also covered James's life. He never married and gave money to hospitals, illness work, and women's health. He started a fund in Victoria's name for free care for poor women. Family letters show his lifelong guilt. He died in 1923 with her photo on his desk. Michael came to the opening and gave more letters. My great-great-uncle spent his life trying to fix it. He could not save her or say no, but he helped other women. I am glad the real story is out. Emily watched visitors at the show. Many were touched. Some cried. One young woman near Victoria's age stood long in front of the picture. She turned to Emily and said thank you for telling her real story, for letting her be seen as she was. Later in her office, Emily got an email from Sarah, who first said no. Dr. Chen, I am sorry. I saw your interview and read the show. You were right. Victoria deserves truth. My family has Eleanor's old letters and diaries to give the museum. Eleanor never forgave herself for not standing up. She wrote about it often later. Maybe sharing helps others see the hard spot women were in then. Between love and duty. Sorry for my first answer. Thank you for honoring Victoria kindly. Emily smiled and started a reply. Finding hidden pasts never ends. Every picture and paper holds a person whose truth was hidden for looks or ease, but one by one, those truths come back. Victoria's picture will never be seen as a simple wedding photo again. It now stands for a young woman who deserved better, and for all the others still waiting in old shadows. The work goes on. Truth finds its way, and Emily would keep helping it rise, one photo at a time. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe.